minutes just to present our speaker for today. So our speaker for today is Dr. Francisco San Miguel Torres. Born and residing in Puerto Rico, Dr. Torres holds a BSBA from Bryant College, an MBA from the University of Rhode Island, and a PhD in philosophy of education from Caribbean University. He has been a professor at Pontifical Catholic University and Inter-American University of Puerto Rico and researches bullying, cyberbullying, addictions, and social media. His recent publication focuses on social media's role in shaping masculinity, as well as its connection to homophobia and transphobia. Married for 31 years to Sophia and father to 2 children, Dr. Torres always enjoys traveling to natural settings and learning about different cultures, particularly their religious teachings and belief. So Dr. Torres is with us today to present on knowledge and skills of public elementary school teachers on bullying prevention and management in Puerto Rico. He'll present for about 45 minutes to an hour or so, and then we'll spend the remainder of the time with the Q&A. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Torres. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Bree, Stephanie, and Amanda for the opportunity, and Alberti, which is a tremendous resource for our efforts in anti-bullying. And I'm very proud and honored to have been invited to perform in their Colloquium series. So I am from Puerto Rico, and I'm going to take just 1 minute to briefly explain where we're at. In the Caribbean, we're just a territory of the U.S. We're not a state. We're just like Guam. So the Department of Education has to comply with both U.S. and state and Commonwealth regulations and laws. So we have to obey 2 instead of 1. And some of the states, in your case, have to do the same thing. We have the largest budget in the island, and we 7 years ago we suffered the Maria hurricane. We went through earthquakes, the COVID, and we still suffer from electrical grid problems. Many of us in Puerto Rico, the power goes out every day still. And last but not least, we are in bankruptcy. So the money is very tight. Teachers don't enjoy exactly the recognition and salary as in other countries and states. So with that, we'll go into the research that we're presenting. This was performed last year in March 2024. It was published. It's in ProQuest: Knowledge and Skills of Public Elementary School Teachers on Bullying Prevention and Management in Puerto Rico. It complied from, we studied teachers from kindergarten to 8th grade. Okay. The Department of Education responds to both interests. And just to let you know the context, in the past 10 years, Puerto Rico has closed more than 250 schools. And the budget for the University of Puerto Rico has shrunk dramatically. In our culture, we're very religious, and religious does hold power. And power, it's a very important word, a very important term when we talk about bullying. And from our Spanish culture, we do carry some masculinity traits, and the same way homophobia, transphobia. And if there's time to talk about the hip hop lyrics, here's where Bad Bunny is. He's from here, so we do have some interesting lyrics and how he talks about women as property, etc. But what is important today is what is the significant problem of bullying in Puerto Rico is not as recognized as in other countries. We're behind. We just have a policy, a written policy, is not being monitored, and the training is almost nil. It's an hour and a half training, and that's it. So we wanted to know what the state of knowledge and skills of teachers were preventing and handling bullying. The same way we underestimate bullying as a problem in Puerto Rico. Surprisingly, the time sharing the screen, the time that kids spend on the screen, now it's becoming popular, but bullying is not popular, has never been popular. And the same way is very underestimated problem, the same way as uh, in other states and countries. I selected the population because I needed to contribute somehow to establish that we do have a situation, and I wanted to know and portray if it's true that the teachers are ready or not to handle bullying and cyberbullying. We have to recognize Olvea's definition of bullying, and he as a father of the anti-bullying movement. And bullying has never been a topic of importance and priority in Puerto Rico. This we call it pluralistic ignorance. If it's not on the news, there's no problem. There's very little research found in Puerto Rico for understanding the public policy effectiveness and the training. The training has been very limited. Last couple of years, it was just a refresher of a year and a half, and it was basically how to do the paperwork and how to do the victim and bully intervention. According to Dr. Cesar Rey, Dr. Cesar Rey was one of the most recognized past secretaries of the Department of Education. We need more research regarding school violence. And basically, all of you know that bullying and cyberbullying does interfere with the justice and equality that every student deserves as a social justice. It's just a derecho. It's something they deserve and should be provided. A school climate free of harassment, and where they would like to go to school without any objection. So we needed, as stated, to say where's the teacher at? What do they need to know, and what can we do to also, after the research, carry the message to the right persons to see if what could be done, what options did we have. We wanted to generate interest and bring up to date what bullying is today, as we in Puerto Rico see it just as a victim abuser, which we know that, as you know, that's from the last decade. Now we know that is a social integration, that everybody is a combination of everybody. Everybody is a social phenomena that involves everybody, including every bystander. So we want to promote social change, especially for the most disadvantaged, fight for human dignity. We in Puerto Rico have a community of people from Dominican Republic, and so this is one community. Another one to acknowledge is the LGBTQ plus community, and socially marginalized, right? The research justification, just the misery and the pain of every student that is bullied, and sometimes you see once in a while in the news. And when you go to schools and you see we're invited, we we will we are along with Arturo Morales, a sociologist, we're visiting private and some other schools to feel we have group of students that do have some issues, and we go and we see what's happening firsthand, and just to see the suffering, just a student come up to you and say, you know what, that you said that that I may feel depressed and anxious and not wanting to come to school. You know, what can I do about that? So when you see firsthand in the face the suffering of a student, that's that's enough purpose for us to go and give our best version of ourselves. So that's a just research and justification out of my heart. I just opened up. So that's what we wanted. And also, uh, we, we, we need to acknowledge that the teacher having every student for more than 6 hours a day, besides the parents, they are the ones that know the most and have the most interaction and can help the most to keep a safe and sound climate in their classrooms and within the schoolyard. So the theoretical framework of this research, it's basically we obvious always said, and the other anti-bullying programs, that the only way in is getting out of ignorance, just knowing, seeking knowledge, and seek and you will find, and we have to teach, give all the tools to the parents, to the whole community, to the teachers, to the students, so the circle of bullying can shift, and everybody has a role in shifting, and that way is the way that the theoretical framework works. The conceptual framework is that we need to know what they know about their knowledge and the skills of a teacher, to see the deficiencies and opportunities. The research in Puerto Rico showed that in 2008, 92% knew barely anything about bullying. The Gilson 2015, this is very important. 99.5% were victims of homophobic comments. In here in Puerto Rico, the words are pato and maricón. I know that sounds just a little uncomfortable, but that those are the words that were mentioned in the survey. Okay, and the most recent, the frequent reasons for bullying, this comes from Quiles in 2021, where weight, physical appearance, nerdy appearance, looking homosexual or effeminate, tomboy appearance, religious beliefs, or just being talented in arts, music, or sports. Okay, Dr. Roxani Rivera is she helped me in this research, and one of the quotes that stand out that she told me was, bullying is indeed a matter of life and death in Puerto Rico, and she specializes in the LGBTQ plus community. Okay. The literature review includes the consequences, the moral disconnection, the students not knowing the consequences, the pain that it has on students, their families, the mastery of the bullying topic versus common sense, the myth, the teacher's role, cyberbullying, the LGBTQ plus community, which has the highest number of studies because they're the most vulnerable, social isolation and anti-bullying programs and curricula. The methodological design is the quantitative comparative, and that's one of my shortcomings. I'm good in math, but I have to acknowledge that my research capacity. I knew this needed great statistical proficiency. So I had Roland from the Institute of Statistics of Puerto Rico and Abner Colon. Dr. Colon is a head statistician at Ponce School of Health. And they both carried my numbers. So I made sure I had this right. From the 18,891 teachers from kindergarten to 8th grade from the public school system in Puerto Rico, I needed 392. If 415 were obtained, but I cried 3 weeks because I thought I was not going to make it. I was stubborn and I didn't listen. I had my questionnaire was too long. It had 34 questions, and I had literally had to go to schools to talk to the directors. My permission from the Department of Education was through the directors. I could not contact the teachers directly, so I had to beg them school by school. I had to visit about 40-something schools to persuade the directors, to motivate the teachers to complete the surveys. And it was my fault because I didn't listen to the people that told me you have to cut the survey to some. So there are 2 dimensions: 16 about knowledge, 17 questions about skills. Applying the Likert scale from 1 to 5, strongly agree to strongly disagree. The questionnaire looked like this, and we did comply with the participant rights and consents, with the confidentiality, anonymity, and other necessary obligations. For the reliability of the study, we comply with the Cronbach alpha coefficient. Is giving a high reliability. Actually, the questionnaire, the instrument was validated and is free for use for anybody. If anybody would like to use it, is one of the contributions of this study. And obviously that I'm grateful for the statisticians that helped me do this. The KMO validates my construct, and the emphasis was on factorial analysis. Okay, here are the results. The knowledge of the teachers. We summarize that the knowledge of the teachers compared to the Alveus bullying prevention program is 56%. So they're not ready in terms of knowledge. In terms of skills, 58% know what a teacher should know after going through the teachers bullying prevention program of Alveus. Okay, so in a nutshell, they need training. There's an opportunity, 58% of skills. It obviously is not enough. It's not their fault. It's not the teacher's fault. Just the knowledge, the training has not been awarded. There's a public policy written, but there hasn't been the appropriate resource allocated to train them. Okay. The question number 3 of the research was if there was any difference between the Montessori schools and the regular public schools, and utilizing the Mann-Whitney, the non-parametric test, there was no difference. The same with question number 4, years of experience as a school teacher, there was no difference. Utilizing the Kroskal-Wallis test, if they had 0 to 2 years of experience, from 2 to 5 to 5 to 10, more than 10, there was no difference significantly. Neither through regional offices. Also using the Kroskal-Wallis test, There was no difference in knowledge or skills. If it was from Macau, Caguas, metro area, there was no difference. The findings. Question number 32, and this gets interesting here because this is part of the questionnaires and the interesting the part that may interest you the most. For example, interventions with the aggressors and the victims are the most effective tactics to reduce bullying. So we had 88% say that yes, when the new trend is that to reduce bullying, really you need to impact all of them. The old paradigm of we're just gonna take aside the abusers and the victim, I'm gonna deal with them. That is not the trend. That is not what the World Anti-Bullying Forum, that is not what UNESCO mandates. What is the new trend is to educate the whole community, parents, teachers, students, and emphasize on the bystanders, which are the most. So and let them know how the circle of bullying works. So if I am an observant, then I would like to be not an observant. I want to be a bystander that does something, that communicates somehow, at least through a suggestion box. Question 18, was I taught or trained to identify and monitor cyberbullying? Half of them no, they don't know how. They haven't been given the knowledge, the training to recognize. So and this is the trend. That's what we're getting the most calls from. It's about cyberbullying. What's happening in the phones, in the social media, that can affect things in the classroom, even though they can happen in a phone outside the classroom. If they do affect things within the schools, then we do have an issue, and the school can does have some rights in many states anyway. Question 19, I am aware of the scientific evidence that show that 4 out of 5 gay students or perceived gay have been bullied in school. Half of them are either undecided or did not know. We come from a culture that shows some homophobia and transphobia the same way in the mainland, and this just shows that we haven't given the proper education, the proper tools it's very difficult because we are very religious biased, and it's very important to that you know that when the gender curriculum, gender identity curriculum was mandated, in our case it was dissolved in October 2022. So the opportunity for teachers to know more about how to handle and how to alleviate the situations for this community kind of vanished. Question number 20, suggesting to the victim that they should tell the abuser to stop the behavior is effective. Half of them said yes. This is the typical myth of, oh, have you told your abuser to stop that you don't like it? So this is the same that that if I get robbed, I tell the policeman, there's this, I know the person that robbed me, and the policeman would tell me, you should knock on his door and tell him that you don't like it, that he should stop. So it's the lack of empathy. This is very intimidating. This is not something can be so counterproductive to tell a person, to tell a student to say, no, tell your bully to stop. It, it's not to be done. Um, Suggestion number 20. So question number 20, item number 20. Suggestion to the victim. Okay, we went through that one. Number 21. I greet the bully with a smile and cheerfulness every day when I see him in the morning. 70% either didn't know or don't. So this is the labeling. This is my repetition that I see as a teacher, the student, the problematic student, uh, coming through the door, and I just put a face, and what I get in response is the mirror. He reflects what I'm showing. Uh, so in these programs, Kiva, Ave, Obey, says, I have to stop judging. I have to stop labeling. I have to change my attitude and my behaviors. That comes from Dr. Dorothy Espelach, a very recognized researcher in the subject. So I need I need help from the Department of Education to as a teacher to show me the way. I need time, I need funding, I need a program to help me out manage better the situations I have in my classrooms. The number 23, I use the word aggressor, bully, and victim when students are in my presence. See, when 80% of the students say that they use those words, they're just reinforcing the labeling. And if I am kind of an abuser, but I have teachers telling me all the time that no, don't be such a bully, stop abusing, and these terms is just reinforces who I am. So I have to be very careful. How do I call as a psychologist, counselor, teacher? Uh, 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 how do I refer to them, and try to restrain, minimize, use other words, but that comes through training. When I gather my students to discuss school bullying, I have them sit in a semicircle, so they can see each other's faces and facial expressions directly. Half of them do, half of them don't. And this is one of the like watching videos that you can see the facial expressions of pain, of questionings, of laughter. uh, it's very important to see them that they can see each other, not just sitting up to the blackboard. 20, item number 27, I have given my students the opportunity to communicate anonymously if they have witnessed or experienced bullying in a suggestion box. 57% undecided or don't. The suggestion box is almost non-existent. But I did encounter some going to the schools, knocking on the doors of the directors. There were some. I did find some suggestion boxes, so uh, that was very exciting to see those. The importance of the suggestion box is that if I am an abuser, I'll think twice, because I know there's a lot of people watching, and there's a way to communicate anonymously. Listen, Carlos or Maria are indeed having a thing with this person that I think is unfair, and you might want to take a look at it. And nobody knows I have no consequences, because I'm not going to the principal's office and I saw Paco going to the principal's office, that he might have said something. 28. In the past year, I have administered at least one sociometric test to students to identify isolated or marginalized students. See, isolated loneliness it's a topic for self-harm, and when people are othered, I love that term, where they're polarized, they're set aside. The feeling of loneliness in a school can be super cruel. So if I don't have that tool in my classroom, I I need to have it at a yearly basis, 2 times a year, and to help me out because I can be watching, but I don't know I don't know everything. So teachers in Puerto Rico don't have that. The last two, I have asked students to stage role play as bully, victim, and bystanders. 2/3 they don't. And question 30, after the dramatizations, the role play, students have time to discuss the situations and ways to stop bullying among themselves. These are key ingredients of every successful anti-bullying program. And I said 56% they don't in Puerto Rico. They don't discuss situations. 33, I involve parents in anti-bully campaigns periodically. Half of them don't. And 34, the Department of Education gave me a training on how to lead a meeting with parents or caregivers and what to say and ask during a bullying intervention. 2/3 said no. Conclusions and recommendations. Teachers are not ready. They have limited knowledge and skills to recognize, prevent, and manage school bullying. The study revealed that over 50% lack the skills on cyberbullying and supporting LGBTQ plus students. Those were my main conclusions. The results point toward a lack of comprehensive curriculum that includes detailed training to enable teachers to manage bullying, and review the literature suggests the review of the literature, which suggests that a new public policy is needed to align to international trends. Recommendations to evaluate the public policy, the training, and the curricula and programs implemented, including what the current universities are currently providing. The research does include at the back end a curriculum. That's part of the contributions that includes cyberbullying. It's like a bullying 101 with a special part on cyberbullying. And invite experts for forums here in Puerto Rico, psychology, researchers, etc. I've seen it in other areas. I don't see why it couldn't be done in Puerto Rico. Research needed. We don't know exactly what they're teaching in different universities that prepare teachers about bullying. We need research about cyberbullying, sexting, inappropriate content without consent, moral disconnection of student, teacher, principal, parents. The moral disconnection being not knowing what I'm doing as an abuser, what the consequences could be for that person and for myself as an abuser. The more research on the LGBTQ plus, for example, suicide attempts. We do have the youth risk behavior survey from the CDC, but that's it. Number 5, compliance and effectiveness of the current public protocol and policy. There's in each school there's the COSE, which is the committee that of the wellness and well-being of the students, of the moral, and because of the hurricane, earthquakes, and COVID, we have very limited data on that. The limitations of this research, I don't know to this point what teachers understand about bullying. The definitions may be different. My definition of blue may be different from yours, and we saw that through reports, because the schools do have to report violence issues, and we saw from the ones that were reported, because with the COVID and the truth is that they were quite incomplete. I could not use them for this research. Compliance with the COSE principles, protocols, mandatory bullying reports was not investigated. It is unknown what teachers training institution may teach about bullying. And So our philosophy for this research, the sustained philosophy, is that only by delving deeper can bullying be reduced. Going getting out of ignorance is the only way, as a teacher or as a psychologist or as a counselor, that I can contribute, be the best, be the most efficient with the vulnerable student or community. Uh, the first variant would be during the academic preparation. So this means that I would love to influence every curriculum in every preparatory college, university that prepares teachers, and make sure they either have the information, if not as a separate class, as Bullying 101, but within their existing curriculum as projects, readings, etc. So when they graduate, they have basic knowledge and what to do to go out and as a rookie in their first second year, uh, have at least someone where to call. If it's Alberti, albertbullying.com, stopbullying.org. They're fantastic resources. But if the most important thing is, if I don't know, I need to raise my hand and say, I need help here. I don't know what to do with this situation. Uh, the second curriculum variant, it would be to create an in-depth teacher training, semester refreshers, or a la carte for private schools. For public schools, we were suggesting more time. And I do know one psychologist that was in charge of this training, and she mentioned, I wish we could do more time to instruct the teachers. The contributions, basically the new information regarding the teachers' capacities, the new paradigm. We do have a gap to aspire. We're looking. We wish that within the Department of Education and the legislators, there would be an interest to update the public policy. There's a validated instrument that is accessible, and the curricular variant on school bullying for teachers, and that's also in. I have a web page that I can share with through you with Bri, and it's in an appendix. Uh, so the curricular contribution, what is that teachers, psychologists, and counselors should know basic topics to go deeper and develop skills. I'm going to try to fly through this. The evolution and the definition of bullying, presentations of researches and its findings and implications, psychological and sociological perspective, moral disengagement, transfer effect, and the bullying circles, which is super important. The bystander, I like to call it the not so innocent bystanders, because that seems to be the key for the future. What are the bullies' motivations? Consequences of school bullying: the mental health, anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, less harm, and as a proven tool to dismantle moral disengagement. The power imbalance factor and intimidation, it couldn't be more understated, that word, the power. The marginalized and socially isolated cyberbullying and all its aspects: sexting, consensual and non-consensual sexual harassment. Social media, we can talk about this 3 hours. Criminal perspective, what's legal and what's not legal. What should the kids know, their parents, the teachers. Analysis for successful anti-bullying program. Analysis of what is an anti-bullying program that is successful. And there's in the MVP, the ambassador. They're programs that involve the student, and they're not so much pushed from the top down, but from the bottom up, and the students are involved in every way, and they pass the torch, and they have this beautiful different approach than uh, the, for example, the teacher in Puerto Rico is underpaid, and just one more thing to implement and to push that through the teachers down to the students is very difficult. So that approach that Enrique Chalks from Colombia talks about, that is from the bottom up, it may be much more successful in Puerto Rico than these other conventional, super rigid, formal programs. Bullying prevention, bullying management and intervention, integration of adults in the community, including the parents, common sense versus methods and protocols proven by research, empathy, compassion, self-esteem, and well-being. Right now, there's a school here in Puerto Rico that has a contest on empathy. Uh, it's Fowler Academy. School climate, sense of school belonging couldn't be understated. Alfred Adler talks about how important the belonging and the cooperation is as a method of living well, of a sound school climate. Most vulnerable and needy subgroup, the LGBTQ plus. Excuse me for the typo. Self-harm, suicide attempts, suicide. Um, and understand that the life of a high school student, of a student, ends in high school. We see it like they just graduate and go to college or go to work, but but their life is until the day they graduate. They cannot, some of them cannot see beyond that, and is their life is their reputation in high school, and especially with girls, if they are humiliated, especially through social media. We need to know, we need to tell them, we need to instruct them about self-harm. But we cannot give what we don't have. So we need to be trained on that. Game simulator, dramatizations, debates, classroom activities, racism, discrimination, labeling on appearances and disabilities, including diabetes, stutter, uh, ways that people walk, look, etc. Family, parents, siblings, and community influence. There's this research about siblings bullying and how it reflects on my behavior as I go to school, me as an abuser. But I learned that by the modeling that I learned in my house, because all my brothers bullied on me. So I thought that was the way that I was supposed to live. Cultural violence, number 31, importance of the student participation in anti-bullying programs, how to identify the signs of bullying, how to promote communication from the victim and the bystander to report bullying. It's very important for me as a teacher to create friendship and communication, open lines of communication, so the student feels comfortable talking to me. The teacher roles as a catalytic and leading agent in program strategies.
Thank you so much, Dr. Torres, for that really informative presentation. We have a good amount of time for just sort of questions and discussion at this point. We did receive a couple of questions and comments in the chat, which maybe I can kind of go through first, and then we can certainly open it up to questions at this point. And as people are just sort of thinking through questions or comments, feel free to either put them in the chat, feel free to raise your hand, feel free to unmute. And so kind of feel free to ask the questions however you are most comfortable asking. Um, First, I did want to I had a one sort of quick question. You had mentioned earlier in the presentation that the measure is free to use, and I just wanted to make sure attendees were clear. Would they reach out to you to
Yes.
access the measure? Okay.
Sure. Yes, this is open. I mean, we're all in the same boat. We just want to, if there's something that you see in that instrument, anything, just one question, one item, the whole thing, you can use it. There's no fees. No, I'm just for a formality, right? Please feel free to use it. You have all the permits. You have no obligations whatsoever. Um, so yes, the instrument it's validated already, so you don't have to go through the trouble of. You just have to copy it, translate it maybe, and adjust it to your particular situation. And obviously, I suggest to put less questions.
Yes, it sounds like that you received some feedback from the schools, was it? That it was a little bit too lengthy?
Well, I utilized the Loshi procedure to to shrink from 107 questions, 5 dimensions to 2 dimensions, uh, 17 in knowledge and 16 in skills. And they all told me, I think 20, no more than 25. But I for some reason, uh, I was just a little stubborn. Something to learn. The even it's better to get the responses from 10 questions than to cry and suffer like I did. I had to stop my life to go and look for those extra to make sure I hit the 95%.
Well, kudos to you for your persistence in that recruitment. Recruitment is so challenging, for sure. So kudos to you. Um, I did I wanted to just in the chat, I know that there's just been a couple of comments in the chat. So John in particular has put in just a couple of resources and things in the chat. And John, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I don't know if you maybe wanted to share. It looks like you put in a resource from New Jersey. If you wanted to share a little bit of information about that.
Well, thank you. New Jersey often gets seen as some backwater. We're a wonderful state. Yeah, importantly, in New Jersey, there's a couple mandates that school psychologists must align with, and that is to be on an anti-bullying climate committee at each building level that the principal puts into motion. So that's a very important thing that we have. Number two, we have a self-study that I would highly recommend for folks to look at. I really want to compliment Dr. Torres' checklist because there's so many good ideas on that checklist, Dr. Torres, that a person like myself, who was officially the anti-bullying coordinator for our district, K through 8, worked on at the building level. A firm believer in building level climate, grade level climate, developmental issues having their impact. So just importantly, there is a tremendous amount of information out there for folks to use that works in their arena. And of course, Dr. Beth Dahl's work on using well-being surveys I could highly recommend as well, complementary to what Dr. Torres has as well. I'm just want to make a comment in our political culture right now. I think this issue related to harassment, intimidation, and bullying, that's the words in New Jersey we use for the investigative formula that we must use, will even become more acutely reviewed. And how we do it with sensitivity and care could really change youngsters' lives in a possible way. One more comment, getting the teachers to see that they are such a valued component, that kiddos really depend on their teachers to be mentors and guides. And I saw that as I worked mostly exclusively the last 7 years as a middle school case manager for special ed and for working with counseling within our middle school. Thank you, Dr. Frederick, for that opportunity to address that. It's your colleague is going to be presenting for us, Dr. Dickerson, as part of our Be Well school support program that we're doing in New Jersey. And we're very proud of that.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and the resources here. They're very helpful. Thank you. We do have another question from the chat, more specifically related to resources that would be available in Puerto Rico regarding ways to enhance public education regarding stuttering. I know that is a kind of a fairly specific question. I don't know, Dr. Torres, if you're able to speak at all to that, or if you know of any possible resources that might be helpful specifically in Puerto Rico.
I did share with Bree a little bit about that specific disability. I am very capable on the diabetes type 1 cases, as I was very involved in that, but not on the stutter. I am aware that there's plenty of capable persons that can help find out resources on how to tackle, who to bring in, how to change the classroom perspective. Also, it's the same thing for epilepsy, and there's just what students don't know. Basically, like in diabetes, just bringing somebody to explain in my experience, to the students what is the condition, to understand the condition, the suffering of the patients, what's happening behind the curtains with their parents, how they suffer as well with the condition, and how good of a person, of a supporter I am by not allowing other people to harm my friend that has that disability. But just to get out of the ignorance of what's happening to that particular person who has whichever vulnerability. It's has been key to get involved and present to the person that's making fun or humiliating. That is not that is not right, but why? And the other, present the other options of behaving and having them know the consequences, and that people are watching, that not only as a teacher, but all the schoolmates, the classmates will be watching, and that's where the importance of the open communications come in. Because if I know I'm gonna be reported, I'm gonna think twice, because if I'm reported, I know I'm gonna be, I could be suspended or whatever punishment there is, and my behavior in the back of my mind, unconsciously or consciously, I'm gonna think more about making fun of that particular student. Personally, I I don't have expertise in stutter.
Right, great. Thank you. And yes, Dr. Torres, he briefly mentioned before he started chatting that he did share several resources with Bree Kishel along with his presentation, and we do plan on sharing as many of those resources as possible in our on our website. And so I just wanted to share that. And John, I see that you're unmuted. Did you? And I think you have a
Yeah,
comment as
well,
well.
I've had, I've been doing, I just retired after 35 years, everyone. So got a little bit of experience. But I think Dr. Torres said it so right about the classroom climate and acknowledging the bystander effect that we're all in this together. We've had excellent consultation with our speech and language pathologists on that continuum of selective mutism, as well as the issues related to stuttering, which sensitized the classroom to this. This is where the teachers are truly invaluable as we make them help them to be less worried about having to be the perfect conduit on this, right? You don't have to have, you don't have to hit every mark to win the Super Bowl. Ask us Eagle fans about that, okay? Okay, you can lose and then still come back and be, quote, a winner in our society. And the school climate work that we've done in my district has been absolutely invaluable. We've really invested in SEL. We have really invested in character ed. We've really invested in introducing it more within our health and phys ed curriculums about how we treat each other. And we have statistics that show it, that Dr. Dahl's graduate students showed that the youngsters, when they came back to school, felt emboldened to be more proactive versus when they were out of school and some of that cyberbullying stuff was starting to seep in again. So one innovation that we did that you might do at any school is that most schools have like grade level meetings, like monthly at a minimum in our district. Very blue collar, preschool through 8th grade, 1,000 kids, 2 buildings. But we put on the agenda for teachers to know that the counselor or myself or the school social worker might add something about anti-bullying prevention as a kind of newsletter approach. But we had explicit questions of, are you seeing conflict that maybe is starting to show itself that we could intervene early on? And all I can tell you, from a school system that years ago had thousands of detentions and aversive issues, which we know can be important, penalties and punishments, it really helped change our climate and really, I think, acted protectively as we went into the COVID depression, anxiety downturn. So I'm so glad to see that checklist that Dr. Torres put together, because I want to share them with my colleagues, because I'm still in consultation with Edgewater Park to a de facto degree in our state association. We're very committed to, because we're just so you guys know, I don't want to, but this is important. By statute, school psychologists and school counselors must be available for these school climate and safety committees. They must be available, which also adds to the part of restorative justice and those parts, along with the penalty parts that vice principals and principals get involved in. It's very important. I'm so glad you guys put this together from another cultural vantage point that we could utilize.
Thank you, John. And I did just want to share a comment from the chat. Dr. Torres' response regarding stuttering has been very helpful. Bringing someone to class to explain open communications are so important. Plus, if there is a school anti-bullying protocol in place, it's important for teachers and administration to be prepared to follow through. Otherwise, a protocol is just a public relations effort. There has to be substance attached to a protocol. I speak of the situation in Ontario, Canada. So I just wanted to share that just kind of as a follow-up to, I think, both what you both were saying. And then we do have another question that came in from the chat, Dr. Torres. It says, you found so many gaps in teacher skill knowledge regarding bullying prevention. Which finding do you think is the most time sensitive to address? For example, cyberbullying training, suggestion boxes, procedures for meeting with parents, role play with bystanders, friendly teacher greeting at start of class. Just kind of, is there a specific, kind of a place to start, or
Yes,
any thoughts on that?
yes. Boom. Great question. Cyberbullying. Hands up. Hands up. The what we're being called for to come and chat and present is about the proper and improper use of technology. Usually, the aspect of, for example, parents come in and say, my daughter got this invitation from this kid in school, in social media, to show a part of her body, and why not? So, what else is new? Uh, so this is one of the examples that we're receiving. Also, just making fun in groups of people through social media. It's that's we're going to, I'm not going to name the school on this is being recorded, but where we're going, and it's a social media issue. So this is what's happening, the sexting, the improper solicitation of pictures, the yes, the humiliation, the humiliation through social media. It's I believe is the topic that teachers need to know more about. And the situation is that the school didn't provide a phone, a smartphone to the student. So it's a very awkward situation where the school, the administrators, and the teachers then have they're in a very vulnerable position. And and the common thing is that they need to show first that their objectives is the same, to provide a safe place for the student, but they do have they need cooperation from the parents in their social media utilization of the screen time. The parents don't know what's going on, that they don't know that the phone is a vector, is a mechanism to end up in pornography, in betting, in unreal things that are unreal, to compare themselves, and all these traps. They don't understand who's behind all this social media, which are experts, the most well-paid psychologists and designers, to capture in their claws your kid. And there's this dynamic of masculinity that is important, that is hard to understand for a parent, but they need to tell that to their boy. No, hey, this cannot be done, these are the laws, you can be expelled. So parents are oblivious, they don't know what's going on. So our effort right now is on that side of cyberbullying, how to restrict social media uh, in the different ages, right? What to do, what can they do? And we can talk. I know the time is limited, but certainly the use of the cell phone has been uh, it is the most dangerous and most needed uh, topic for the teachers to know, to be able to handle parents' situation, because the phone wasn't given by the school. Right? It's a team effort, and it's education. Yes, thank you.
Great, thank you. And so it almost sounds as though you're I'm kind of hearing a couple different things just in terms of what you're suggesting potentially is most important. I mean, I'm hearing you say for sure cyberbullying prevention is most important, but I'm sort of hearing you say maybe schools taking this approach to sort of maybe teach students about kind of what we call sometimes digital citizenship skills, but how to be respectful, right, and responsible sort of in these online spaces, but also perhaps maybe developing a little bit more homeschool collaboration, given a lot of these things are happening perhaps outside of school and things like that. And so, things like parent trainings and things to sort of help with this cyberbullying prevention piece and kind of helping students learn some of these skills in these online spaces. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Yes, right on.
Great.
Thank you.
We do have another question that came through the chat. But before I ask that question, I did just want to mention very briefly, you'll see on the screen here that Bree has shared our evaluation and certificate of attendance. If you could please just take a couple minutes to scan the QR code with the camera on your smartphone and click on the yellow link that appears. Bree had also previously put the link in the chat, although that was a little bit before some of these questions. So Bree, if you don't mind putting the link back in the chat, just so it's at the top of everyone's chat box, that might be helpful. And then after you complete the evaluation, you'll see a certificate of attendance that you can download and save or print for your record. So I just wanted to share that information because that is now on the screen here. Thank you, Bree. Another question that came through, one of my former students conducted a qualitative study with a few teachers to determine what motivates them to address bullying. Factors that impacted this included a school climate that fostered belonging for teachers, students, staff, knowledge about bullying, self-efficacy to address it, their experiences with bullying. So just sharing that information in case it's helpful for people. So thank you. Another question that we had come through the chat, Dr. Torres, it says on slide 24, you mentioned that using the word bully is not advised, even though many teachers reported doing this, using that term. The Ulvaeus program seems clear that bullying should be named as such, so students understand that it's not tolerated. Do you have any suggestions or thoughts on how schools or teachers should approach this issue and sort of your thoughts on kind of naming it and sort of using that term?
Yes, she's putting me on the spot. Basically, the trend is not to reinforce on the abuser or the victim that they're the victim, like don't be a victim. To go around, just don't go around the subject and say, oh, you shouldn't let shouldn't you shouldn't let this person, don't put yourself in this position, don't be vulnerable. But what I've seen from researchers, and I cannot point them out right now, but I know one of them was Espalach uh, uh, research on labeling, is that I should be aware and not to call the abuser abusers, because I'm just promoting. It's not, it doesn't have to do anything with dopamine or rewarding or reinforcing. It's just tattooing and engraving in his mind that he is an abuser, and that so what one of the researchers emphasize that I should look at it instead of etiology, like from Freud, from the past, like you are the past, look at it from teleology to the future, that you can be. So you can be a better classmate. You can help this person, turn around this person, uh, and part of it is to to the person perceives that he has already changed, that there's a future change in that person, so that person can conceptualize that he's not what he used to be called. And so it's a I'm not a psychologist, but it does have a psychologist foundation on it, and I find it super interesting. It's on the Olveus teacher training manual also, and so yeah. But I'm not actually a teacher in the high school and elementary school, so I do not have the experience to go through that process.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yes,
Yes, please.
yes, Dr. Frederick, thank you. I think there's some research that talks about when to not use the B word, the bullying, as a more generalized approach with like social emotional learning and school climate, well-being. And yet I know Dr. Swearer's work at, again, University of Nebraska has some surveys related to directly using the bullying word as a way to kind of fine tune what might be the macro level SEL, if you think of it that way. And then the more specificity that may be needed with like what I tend to call targets and victims, which versus perpetrators, that was seeping into the language in terms of the criminalization right off the bat of youngsters using cyber techniques and all to quote what we might say in the nomenclature, bullying other students. So there is this dynamic of knowing again your school climate and culture, and then the sophistication of folks like vice principals, school psychologists, counselors, on when to start using that really heavily loaded term that in a state like New Jersey, if you're labeled a bully as an investigation that we have these formal procedures to do, that can carry really some extra weight that you want to do everything you can to really make sure that you're doing other educational things beforehand, before making that stop. So I think that's why it's so important. Dr. Torres talks about training, but it's also the training within those particular buildings and school climates that again the village is going to work on together. At least I can attest to that, certainly anecdotally.
Great. Thank you so much. And we are at time. Thanks everyone so much for this really wonderful discussion. I just wanted to very briefly mention our next colloquia. We are going to have Dr. Rebecca Schwartz-Mehta presenting on friendship in adolescence, a lifeline or load on Tuesday, April 22nd at 11:30 Eastern Time. Registration will be available soon on our website. Thank you again, everyone, and thank you to Dr. Torres for your really wonderful presentation. I hope everyone has a good rest of your day.
Thank you.